Protesters set piles of rubbish on fire in central Paris on Monday after President Emmanuel Macron's government narrowly survived a no-confidence motion in Parliament on Monday over a deeply unpopular pension reform. The failure of the no-confidence vote will be a relief to Macron. Had it succeeded, it would have sunk his government and killed the legislation, which is set to raise the retirement age by 2 years to 64. In some of Paris's most prestigious avenues, firefighters scrambled to put out burning rubbish piles left uncollected for days due to strikes as protesters played cat and mouse with police. Unions and opposition parties said they would step up protests to try and force a U-turn.
When we ask young people to have a 5-year degree and they end up underemployed and facing high unemployment rates, knowing that we are putting older people on the job market for longer and longer, we suspect that at some points this will cause a problem. And instead of trying to tax the rich or big companies, we say to ourselves, no, it's the poor again.
We've been abandoned, we've been ignored. It's a government that doesn't care about us, it mocks us. We lived through COVID, we got screwed throughout the confinements, the college closures. We are a generation that lives under the pressure of climate change. Since I was a kid, I've imagined that in 2050 the Earth will be on fire. I have no time to lose. And right now, all of us collectively, we're projecting on pensions. We don't even know what quality of life we'll have.
Eduardo Que, an independent journalist, joins us now from Paris. Eduardo, how sympathetic are you to these voices of the young protesters?
Well, if you ask my personal opinion, I find it somewhat difficult to understand how young people can be so worried about their retirement that is going to come in 40, 50 years from now. This is it's a social phenomenon here in France. A lot of young people have participated in these demonstrations over the last 2 months, and it's something that you can really only kind of shake your head at because it would seem that they have other worries, finishing their studies, getting jobs, establishing themselves in life. But this is France, and this is one of those things that are perhaps uniquely French.
Maybe they're out in the streets to protest in the name of their parents and grandparents, etc.
It's possible, but again, it's something that, to my knowledge anyway, is not seen anywhere else. Every single European country has raised the retirement age, some of them going way beyond 67 years, but at least to 65. And this has been done relatively smoothly throughout the continent, except in France, which, as you just mentioned, the government wanted to and now has raised a retirement age from 62 to 64.
Many around the world see the images from Paris and they're saying, well, the French are lazy again. They have their long vacances, they have the long lunch, they don't like working too hard. What do you say to that criticism?
Well, concerning the long lunch, that is unfortunately been over with for quite a long time. It's nothing like it used to be 20 years ago. Most people actually eat fast food in one way or another during lunch. They have pretty short lunch hours. It's one of these myths about France. But there is no question that the French do not want to give up the privileges that they have amassed over the last several decades, and that this debate on retirement goes against some very basic economic realities. Having said that, the government of Macron really has done this very badly. He doesn't have a majority in the parliament. By the way, it was announced this morning here that he will be speaking tomorrow on television at 1 o'clock local time, and he will have to do something. He will have to say something strong to try and get out of this mess. However, all of his possible choices really probably will not lead to any kind of a solution, whether it's a referendum, whether it's dissolving the National Assembly, whether it's replacing the Prime Minister. So it'll be interesting to see what Macron says tomorrow. But in the meantime, protests continue, and people are just rightly or wrongly, they are up in arms about this. About 80% of the French people say that they are against this reform. And it is very, very difficult to have any kind of visibility about what can happen in France going forward.
And yet, great relief for him, at least to survive this hurdle of the no confidence motion. Eduardo Quay in Paris, thank you very much for joining us today.